Hello and welcome to the Software Engineering Program Junior or SEP Junior Cohort 3 application webinar. I'm just checking some technical things to make sure that it's working, and it doesn't seem to be having some trouble. I just want to make sure. We're going to get started in a few minutes. All right, we're going to get started in about 2 more minutes here. Just working on some connection issues. We'll be right back. So just hold tight. Okay, just finishing up a little bit of issue with our internet connection here. Should be getting going in about 1 minute. Okay, all right, let's get going here. Welcome everyone to the SEPjr application webinar or software engineering program junior webinar. Today we're going to be going over expectations for applying to the SEPjr program and some recommendations on, when looking at the application, how best to answer some of the questions that are presented in it. So I see that Rebecca Lugo is on and says that she can hear just fine. If anyone else needs to make a comment, please do. It's over to the right-hand side. If you do not see the chat box on the right-hand side, you need to log into a Google account in order to make comments or questions that you might have throughout the webinar. So, and there'll be an email address at the end of the session that you can send any questions that you might have regarding the application or the webinar in general. Okay, so let's get started. So taking a look at today's agenda for the session, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about what is SEPjr and how does it fit into the CS for All initiative here in New York City. Talk a little bit about the SEPjr curriculum and resources as they'll apply to participating schools. Then the SEPjr program requirements, what we're expecting of teachers and schools that are coming into the program, as well as the requirements of the participation and long-term expectation. We'll also have some application tips, and then finally an opportunity for questions and answers. So, first of all, what is CS for All in New York City? CS for All is part of the overall Equity and Excellence initiative started by the mayor a couple of years ago. And CS for All, the goal for that is CS for All will ensure all New York City public school students learn computer science with an emphasis on female, Black, and Latino students. Through our work, students will be better prepared to utilize computer science after graduation. And through this initiative and through the CS for All office, we're building what is computer science education, what does it look like here in New York City. So it's built on 3 pillars, practices, concepts, and perspectives. The practices are more generalized skills of analyzing the impacts of computing, prototyping, projects connected to student interests, and then communicating understanding of the concepts. The concepts are more computer science specific, abstraction, algorithms, programming, data, and networks. And we're approaching all of these things through different perspectives based on student experience and also the ages of the students. So starting off with Explorer, which allows students to just kind of like tinker and try and play. Creator, where they start to build something or remix something or making something. Innovator, where they start to think outside of like, well, now I've got these skills and I know how to make something. How do I make something that might not be available, or like addressing specific problems or obstacles or challenges that they might face? And then Citizen, how does the things that I am creating impact? How do those impact the community around me, whether it's the school, the neighborhood, or the world at large? So for more information, if you're not as familiar with the practices, concepts, and perspectives, we have something called a blueprint for computer science education. This is a digital resource for schools and teachers. One, it helps define that meaningful unit of computer science learning experience as an exploration of computer science concepts and practices through depth of knowledge. And this is that core requirement of the initial initiative for Computer Science for All, that each student in each grade band gets one meaningful unit of computer science. The second part is to help equip teachers with sample computer science units, which hopefully will be up this summer. It also showcases pedagogical practices for computer science, things like classroom implementation, pair programming, how to manage equipment, usernames and passwords, things like that. And then it's also developed through a co-design process with teachers and administrators, computer science education community, the industry, and academics. So this resource is, built out of the participation of not just our office, but the educational community at large, to make sure it's as useful and meaningful as possible to those using it. I do highly recommend that if you do go to blueprint.cs, the number 4 all.nyc, that home screen, you can see examples of student work videos. Specifically for SEPjr, you would want to check out the elementary school videos. That's actually built into the application, so we highly recommend that you watch the video and just kind of get initial touch on like what we're expecting and building towards in SEPjr. But it's, especially in elementary school, it's bigger than just the skills. Even though we are helping students develop professional skills that they'll use after graduating high school in either college or their profession, it's also a belief that computer science is an educational and economic and equitable imperative for all of our students, that we make computer science available to all students across the city. So the CS for All expectations are by 2025, all schools will be expected to provide at least one unit of computer science to every student at each grade band. That's K2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, 12. And so through that, our office is offering a series or a sequence of professional development, starting off with maybe just like an intro, a one-day training. For example, this year we built out an event for Computer Science Education Week, which happens in December. Then we have the actual units, the meaningful units, courses, which are primarily for middle and high school. And then we have sequences. Sequence are the deeper dive, and it's that look to go beyond that meaningful unit in K2 and 3, 5, middle school and high school. And that's kind of where SEPjr fits in. So the goals of SEPjr is one, to increase the number of elementary students, particularly from the traditionally underrepresented groups who learn computer science. And that's built into the core mission of CS for All. But it's also to help, and again, develop students' computational thinking and problem-solving skills in real-world context. And then finally, it enables students to engage computer science instruction in each year of elementary school. The SEPjr curriculum is designed to provide all students in the school with deep exposure to computer science concepts and practices, which were mentioned before, through a sequence of CS experience that build on each other from year to year, thus offering a really truly rich elementary school computer science experience that kind of exceeds that initial goal of CS for All, that one single unit. So this is really important to understand, especially when applying to the SEPjr program, that we're looking for schools that are kind of already starting with a meaningful unit or have started to build out their computer science education plan and are looking to go deeper. So it's not just one unit, K2 and 3, 5. We're really looking for students to get computer science from starting in kindergarten all the way through 5th grade each year that they're in the school, and will help schools build out that plan on a way of providing professional development and then scaling in the school so that all teachers have the ability to provide a computer science experience. So again, we're really looking forward a way of infusing the computer science into the school's visions. And so that's through effective leadership, rigorous instruction, and strong family community ties. So some examples: the effective leadership is, the vision and the implementation guide, goal setting, knowledge turnkey and scalability. The rigorous instruction starts with that blueprint page. the infusion of practice and concepts, the professional development and the professional learning groups, as well as unit sequence courses. And then finally, something that we've been working on lately is a strong family and community ties, which is, how do we help support schools during parent-teacher conferences to convey the information that, and the value of computer science in the school. We also have special events like a Maker Week and a school showcase. Just on kind of a more fun note, it's nice of me to talk about this, but it's also great to see pictures and see teachers and students in action. So definitely check out within your social media the hashtag CSFORALLNYC. And there's a lot of great pictures and short videos from professional development and schools participating currently in the CS for All initiative. So getting started, we're going to just talk a little bit about SEPjr's instructional support. And again, if you have any questions to this right-hand side of the page, you'll see an opportunity to place comments. I can read those and also come back and revisit them at the end. So what do we mean by instructional support? So the SEPjr program is a 1-year implementation for your cohort, and then there's 2 sequential years afterwards where we support a school in expanding and scaling to reach the needs of all the students. And so by participating in Cohort 3, you'll start with professional development for all teachers. Per session is provided for those because a lot of our PDs are during the summer and on Saturdays. So we have a kickoff date this year of June 9th, 2018, and this is an opportunity to kind of get to know one another and really start to spell out the expectations for your school's participation in SEPjr. Then over the summer, from August 6th to the 10th, we have 5-day mandatory summer institute. So each of the school's teacher teams would be required to participate in all 5 days of these workshops. So it's very important that when, filling out the application, that the teachers who are being chosen for the teacher team are informed of these dates and know that they are mandatory. Because summer is a busy time, and that's kind of why we try to get the application out a little bit early and enough time for schools and teachers to make plans. And then finally, we have monthly Saturday sessions throughout the school year. There'll be 9 of them starting in September and going through May. And some of them will be very specific to the new cohort, and then other ones will be an integration of cohorts 1, 2, and 3 for deeper dives based on either pedagogical experience or a tool or something around the curriculum that we've been working on. And I just saw it's a school year, not a school, yeah. The next part of the instructional support is the curriculum and materials. And so just kind of the bullet points that are here, the teacher-directed and project-based curriculum with unit plans and activities. So we're working towards creating and organizing content for schools to implement throughout the school year. They will be designed and modeled around those particular, meaningful units. And the activities are meant to be engaging and build on one another in a very project-based learning style. We focus on curriculum topics, which include but are not limited to an introduction to computer science, fundamentals of computer science, where we really look at the concepts and practices, using those concepts and practices with robots, and then creative computing around project-based learning. So now that students have built up a certain skill or an understanding of a concept and practice, how can they creatively build something that's meaningful to them? And then finally, physical computing, which gets a little more into the hardware, but also how we can interact with computers, bringing in the ideas of sensors and networks and things like that. So. And the curriculum will align currently with the Computer Science for All blueprint, which was shown before. Again, that's at blueprint.cs4, the number, all. .nyc, and we have our student outcomes there. And those student outcomes are built around the concepts and practices with an understanding of, other standards that are out there, like the CSTA and the ISTE standards. So, and then finally, PLCs, we do have optional participation in computer science professional learning communities, such as Google Classroom, Slack, and trying to build out some availability to online courses, webinars, and partner workshops. So one of the things is that, computer science is dependent on the effectiveness of the technology and the equipment being used, and so sometimes schools need extra support on deployment or management of the computers or the hardware that they're using, which we don't necessarily focus on, but we're trying to align better with professional development provided in our in the school system. So. Okay. So now that we've talked a little bit about that, now we're going to talk a little bit about the program requirements. So one of the things that we have done is we've shifted the expectation of participating SEPjr schools. You can see the picture in the background there. That is our current Cohort 2 schools who are right in it right now, participating and working hard. But we've kind of just shifted in order to make sure that sequence element makes more sense and that the schools participating are having a really meaningful, experience and deep understanding of what they're doing and how to implement computer science in their schools. So the first thing that we're looking for is, in participating with SEPjr, schools will provide ongoing instruction of the software engineering program curriculum and throughout the year at each grade level. So again, this is not just one meaningful unit in K2 and 3-5, but the expectation is in kindergarten, students will be exposed to computer science first grade, second grade, third, fourth, and fifth. And we will be working with schools on how that looks and how to manage that and implement it year to year. The curriculum itself is being built out and reworked so it's more flexible for schools to make sure they're successful with this. And the other part of that curriculum implementation is that plan towards ensuring that the SEPjr participation by all students within 2 to 4 years. Now, 2 years is if you've got a group of teachers that are able to turnkey and start getting other teachers involved. Sometimes it has to do with school size and availability for professional development. But the real expectation is by year 4, you have a plan and you're implementing computer science so that it's being taught in all grade levels. So each grade from kindergarten through 5th grade. The next requirement is that all applying schools need to be able to provide at least 5 licensed teachers and for a teacher team, and this will include 2 at each grade band. So for that initial year of professional development, we want 2 teachers in K2 and 2 teachers in 3-5 and a coverage teacher or cluster teacher, depending on how you refer to them, to attend professional development sessions. And that coverage teacher can be, we've had computer lab teachers, technology teachers, STEM teachers, and also even art teachers. So, but somebody that is willing to see how they can better support the school, and they often have a broader reach of students because they see multiple classes. Please note, schools are encouraged to provide up to 7 teachers. So even though that initial requirement is 2 per grade band, you could have 3 per grade band. Maybe 4 in the early and 2 in the upper elementary, but again, at least 2 per grade band and that cluster or coverage teacher. And then finally, which is an invaluable part of the success of SEPjr in the school, is having a dedicated administrator as a point of contact for the program. We've seen different ways of this. We've had principals, assistant principals, and even though not, might not be a strict administrator role, but a math coach or a science coach that can give direct support for those teachers that have a little bit of flexibility. And this has to do with supporting them in the classroom, supporting their development, but also helping them manage time to schedule common prep periods, or helping them work with their schedule on making sure that computer science is integrated into their coursework. When it comes to student outcomes, our expectation is that the teachers are working towards the Explorer and Creator. So the curriculum that we provide and the professional development materials are focused on those two perspectives around student outcomes. And it's not to say that if you have a student participating from kindergarten to fifth grade, by fifth grade, they actually might be pushing towards innovator. And there might be elements of citizenship or a citizen in each of the lessons. But like really we just want to make sure that by the end of fifth grade, students are leaving and have met the student outcomes for those particular perspectives. And also SEPjr teachers are expected to attend, again, all mandatory professional developments. So that would be June, the 5 in August, and then the Saturday sessions throughout the school year. And again, they are per session. We understand that it takes a lot to dedicate a Saturday a month. And we try to have them in nice environments and provide breakfast and lunch, and we want those experiences to be meaningful, not just chalk and talk style. Teachers do participate in a lot of hands-on activities, and really they themselves, if haven't had as much exposure to computer science, are also learning themselves. Now again, the emphasis, especially around SEPjr this year, is to commit to providing SEPjr to all students. SEPjr is designed for schools that are committed to planning towards ensuring all students, not just a select group, engage in computer science experiences made possible through the SEPjr curriculum. This is a big ask, and we understand that, and we in our office take it very seriously on working with you in order to achieve that goal. Each SEPjr school should reach full implementation of the program after 2 to 4 years, at which point one or more unit of computer science instruction is being provided to all students at each grade level. That means all new students entering at kindergarten will receive at least 1 unit of computer science every year that they're in the school. And the curriculum is really designed for schools in regards to which how many units they are taught in each grade. So one of the things that we're looking towards is, let's say, we use Code.org CS fundamental unit. That alone is now designed and structured in a way where it can be taught each year. It has 6 different courses, but in addition to that, we have the Wonder Workshop curriculum is also spread out across 6 years. And even the microbit, which is physical computing, now has available content that allows for 6 years of implementation. So a student could go in and just, starting off, schools could just start off with implementing the Code.org, Wonder Workshop, and microbit over the sequence of kindergarten through 5th grade. And just kind of wrapping up this, part about committing and to providing all SEPjr students with computer science. SEPjr schools are not expected to initially offer CS to every student or at every grade level, as outlined in the previous bullet, but are expected to acknowledge that this expectation up front is part of the plan that they will be working towards. We really want teachers and schools to understand that this is our goal for SEPjr. And then finally, designate and support a team of teachers to serve as the CS team for their school, who help with strengthening the culture around CS teaching and learning in the school, and recruiting and supporting any additional teachers who are necessary to provide SEPjr to all students. So we really are looking for computer science to become part of the school's culture, and working with this original SEPjr cohort team to help get other teachers to buy into this belief that computer science is a valuable content area that should be taught to all students. So nobody's posted any questions yet, but if you do, please add your questions to the right of the presentation. But if not, we'll move on. So support the goals of SEPjr. So how do you do this? So one, increase the number of elementary students, particularly from traditional underrepresented groups who learn computer science. So again, just by teaching and beginning SEPjr content in your school, you're helping your school and SEPjr reach that goal. Develop students' computational thinking and problem solving skills in real world context. So what you'll see in the curriculum and the activities is that the computational thinking, the problem solving is built into the activities and the learning the students are doing. And the hope is that through this skill development, students will be able to apply those same types of computational thinking and problem solving skills, not just to computer science activities, but to other activities that they're doing within the school. And then finally, enable students to engage in computer science instruction each year of elementary. I know it seems like I keep repeating this over and over again, but it is really important for schools to understand that we want that type of commitment because we believe schools, can do it. And we want them to know ahead of time that that's the end goal. So a little bit about the selection criteria and the application tips. So the first thing, we're looking for schools that currently offer some computer science program. So to qualify, you must currently offer a meaningful computer science unit to all students once in K2 or 3-5, or have a plan to do so by the end of 2018, 2019. So what this is, and this sometimes gets confused with technology integration or computer literacy, which are two very important fundamental skills that our students need to have, but they're not as applicable to computer science. So if your school is using Google Classroom, that's an excellent support that will help with computer science education, but it isn't necessarily computer science education. We're looking for schools that might have already participated in a code.org CS Fundamental PD, or went to one of the Bootstraps trainings or STEM Institute, where they learned some content around computer science. I know last summer we had Hello Ruby and we had Sunset Spark, and we're looking for those schools that have participated in those professional development and started implementing that meaningful content around computer science in their school. And based on that experience, they want to do more and they want to go deeper into computer science with their school. And so that's part of the expectation. And for those schools that have not or are currently not implementing computer science, even though SEPjr might not be the right start for you, the CS for All office will provide opportunities to help you get there if in the next cohort, maybe not cohort 3, but cohort 4, you would like to apply to SEPjr then. So what is that meaningful unit? This is something that you might not be familiar with. You can definitely go to the Blueprint website to get more information, but just to kind of give you a description of what it is, a meaningful CS unit provides students with 10 to 25 hours of computer science education in the following areas. So we definitely want students to participate in a unit that allows them for analyzing, prototyping, communicating, and touches upon 3 of the 5 computer science concepts, whether abstraction, algorithm, programming, data, or networks. Again, because we just don't have the time to cover each one of those things, please refer back to blueprint.csforall.nyc, and those you'll get a better explanation of what those look like and how they're implemented in the unit. And so we're looking for schools that can articulate a plan that will ensure that teachers in 1 or more multiple grades in both K2 and 3-5 bands are ensuring that every student in school is receiving a meaningful unit. So what is your current plan? Do you have an expectation that, in K2, we will be supplementing one of our science units for a robot unit from Sunset Spark that teaches, these particular concepts and practices, and 3-5, one of the math units is being supplemented by a code.org course. So give us an idea of what you're doing around your current plans for computer science, and again, not to confuse it with computer literacy or instructional technology. Things like Google Classroom or online learning, flipped classrooms, that type of thing. Selected schools will be required to deploy, maintain, and sustain technology and an academic infrastructure that ensures students receive adequate access to SEPjr related resources. So part of the current plan is we really want schools to have an idea of how they will support a computer science initiative in their school, meaning, do they have a plan for deploying equipment? Do they have the equipment available to support online activities, as well as, as well as the Wi-Fi that's connected, or at least somebody designated in the school to help troubleshoot issues that occur around technology. Now, of course, some of the materials specific to the SEPjr curriculum will be provided to schools, but we still look for schools to have some of that infrastructure already in place. Finally, again, which I think is one of the most valuable parts of the application, and demonstrating that you have instructional and administrative support for success of SEPjr in your school. So, in your application, you want to convey how the teachers and the administrators from your school are looking and engage with computer science, and looking to really support the expectation that within 2 to 4 years, you will be teaching in every grade level. And so that next bullet point down there, the SEPjr is a 2 to 3 year program requiring the commitment of administrators and teachers in each grade level. And so the way that's going to work is that participating schools, as I said before, you as Cohort 3 would get a more intense exposure to professional development and training in this first year. But then in the second and third year, you'll have opportunities to attend other alternative professional development that might be more specific to a pedagogical need, or a deeper understanding of a tool that is part of the curriculum. So, one of the Saturday sessions might be focused on implementation of Scratch and Scratch Junior for project-based learning, and therefore your school would send those teachers that are using the project-based learning units with Scratch and Scratch Junior to that particular session to learn a little bit more about that. And then implementation practices. So schools should have a clear implementation plan for integrating the SEPjr curriculum into the daily curricula and scheduling for grades K to 5. One of the things that we're working on with the curriculum is to help make sure that the curriculum has points of entry to other content areas. I understand, and we understand that in elementary school, sometimes teachers are teaching 4 subject areas, and to add a 5th subject can be daunting and overwhelming. So we're looking for, within the content and the curriculum, to build more an integration of skill sets around English, math, science, and social studies. But it's still up to the school to provide that opportunity and infrastructure for really making sure that it is integrated into what's being taught. We're not looking for schools that want to use SEPjr as an after school or club. Even though those are really great entry points, it doesn't allow for that deeper understanding of computer science. And then selected schools will be required to clearly identify what practices are in place to support the expansion of computer science throughout the school. So if you have lead teachers or teacher teams, if you have common prep periods, how do you utilize Monday and Tuesday after school professional development? How to use professional development within the school in general? We're really interested in how the school already has things in place and how we can integrate the computer science content into some of those practices. And then again, we really, discussion around schools should be able to articulate their initial plans and thinking for how they will ensure that after the 2 to 4 years, all students entering the school receive at least 1 unit of computer science at each grade level. Because if you start thinking about it now, a lot of the content and a lot of the materials and a lot of the curriculum will make better sense. And then also it allows for us to better support you. So if you're coming in with an initial plan and what you're receiving isn't necessarily aligned with your initial plan, either we can help you modify your plan, or you can help us modify our content to reach your goals through your plan. But it's really important that that your school has an understanding of like what that expectation is. So finally, just a couple of tips around the application. What we're looking for is please make sure you review some of the content. Some of the questions in the actual application are specific to the blueprint. So please make sure you review the blueprint and have a better understanding of what we're discussing in regards to concepts, practices, and perspectives. And then also just kind of like seeing what we mean when we talk about project-based learning. And so, again, it's blueprint.cs, the number 4, all.nyc. And then the next bullet point, a clear understanding of what computer science education is. Again, even if you don't understand what a abstraction is, have an understanding of like how it might fit into, like what you're doing, like getting the understanding of the basics and, what it means to teach computer science versus computer literacy or instructional technology. And really, we're looking for very thoughtful answers to the application questions. It's really important to understand that this is not a grant. This is just not an opportunity to receive materials from our office, because it's more about the computer science. The tools are great and they're fun and they're really engaging for elementary school, but computer science and computational thinking is at the core of what we're trying to do. And so we really want you to demonstrate that understanding that this is, it's not donors choose. And that we really want you to be committed to bringing computer science to your school. Also demonstrate a strong teacher team. Again, we're looking for several schools who can provide a lead teacher at each grade level. So a kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, plus a technology teacher or a cluster teacher. But again, that minimum requirement is at least 2 teachers in K2, 2 teachers in 3-5, and then that coverage or cluster teacher. And finally, please demonstrate how the administrators are dedicated to supporting the implementation of the program, and how they intend to make sure that this is happening. One of the things around the professional development and workshops that we provide, we strongly encourage, if not expect, some administrator, especially the ones directly connected to the teacher team, to attend these. Now we understand that there's a lot of requirements on administrators and they might not be able to attend all of them, but it has been our experience that the more training that the administrators attend, the better the team is supported, especially when it comes to expectations and assessment tools and things like that in the future. So again, just as a application tip, please make sure that your answers are thought out, and you can revisit the application. You don't have to submit it right away. You might get your thoughts out at first and then go back and revisit them. But really make sure that you convey to us your understanding of what we're expecting of you, and why you're excited to participate in the SEPjr program. Just a little bit of logistics. The application timeline, starting today, starting this past Tuesday, the application was released on Principals Weekly. Today is our first webinar. And then we'll have another webinar, which is going to be the same slide deck, but if you want somebody else at your school to participate in it, we'll have one on March 26th at 5 p.m. The deadline is April 20th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please make sure you have your application completed and submitted by then. We hope to have final decisions sent to all schools by May 18th. Sometimes we might need a little bit more time based on the number of applications. The first year we did SEPjr, we had over 100 applications, so it took a little more time to really thoughtfully think through each of the applications. So please bear with us if it's not till the following Monday. Finally, again, June 9th, professional development cycle begins with that kind of intro welcome session. August 6th to the 10th is our Summer Institute style PD. It's 5 days. And then again, we launch in September. We provide enough content over the summer that school teachers participating in the PD can begin implementing the curriculum. So these are some wonderful pictures of students and all those pictures in here were either students or teachers participating in SEPjr. But if you have any questions or need any help, you can email programs@strongschools.nyc. And if that needs to get to me, it will. But we try to support you as much as possible in this application process. So nobody's put any questions in the discussion section. Let me just make sure. Okay, I don't see any other questions in here. But again, we will have another webinar session in next week, Monday at 5 p.m. So please share that with any teachers that you would like to learn more about the application process. So great. Well, thank you very much for attending, and I hope you have a good day.